Welcome to Martini time. It's 5 o'clock and I'm glad you're here with us today. I went to Costco this afternoon and usually I can't get out of there without a spontaneous buy. So I made a spontaneous buy and whoops, it's backwards. It says Irish Spring. My wife said, what'd you get that for? And I said, I'm celebrating St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. But I got to thinking too, before I get into something else, was that, you know, the Irish Spring, the Irish are a oral tradition society versus the print tradition of England. And they maintain that oral tradition. So they have a certain playfulness or spontaneity or love of story and song about them that I just thought about the Irish Spring, you know. And being a Connolly, I do have some Irish in there on my father's side. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about today, which, you know, I live a retired, rather mundane, boring life, so I have to use little things to create the drama in my life. So, as you know, I had some trouble with my 5 o'clock live show using a DSL with CenturyLink, and the connection wasn't strong enough. And that was following a weekend where CenturyLink was down the whole time. They were upgrading or fixing or something, and it was becoming, it was building a bad assumption about CenturyLink, like, oh, this is terrible. And so then when at CenturyLink, the live connection, the connection wasn't strong enough for a live at 5 o'clock. It was okay in the morning, but at 5 o'clock, I said, that's it. And so I just heard that that AT&T was going with unlimited data. So, well, I'll go with unlimited data and just hook up to a hotspot and be done with it. And so I went to AT&T, and they were very happy that I was there, and I got the thing, and I thought it was not. I think when I started looking at the price, it was going to be almost, if not a little more than my CenturyLink and internet price. But anyway, so I was happy to get it, so I brought it back and hooked it up, and boy, was it snappy. You know, I was so happy to have a snappy internet. And so for about a day, it was 2 days, it was snappy, and then I finally said, okay, I'm going to stay with it. So I called up CenturyLink, told them to disconnect me, and then they sent me an email saying, sorry to lose you, and you're disconnected. And it wasn't too long after that my Mini Mac, which is my desktop computer, began to lose the Wi-Fi connection, and I couldn't get it back. And the iPad, this iPad, and my phone and my wife's laptop was great, but my Mini Mac would not hold the Wi-Fi, so it was dropping off. And then it went off, and I couldn't get it back. So I called AT&T. And I bet we were on there for about an hour trying to figure out what it was. Finally, he said, we're okay on this end. It's on your end. It's so bad. So then he said, here's Apple support. So, okay, I'll call Apple support. But I knew from past, it's been a long time since I called Apple support. And my memory told me, I remember that it used to be when you called them and you didn't have some kind of a plan, it was like talking to a taxi cab. I mean, it was by the minute, you know, that you were charged. So, okay, so I called him up, and a really nice guy answered the phone. And we told him my problem. He said, well, unplug the computer and reboot it from that way instead of just turning it off. So I did that, and it connected. All right, I'm back in business. We're good to go. Snappy, snappy, snappy. And in about a few hours, it began to drop off again. And so today it was like that, drop off, boot it back up, drop off. So I said, okay. And this was what was funny. You see, right after I made my Declaration of Independence from the CenturyLink and the the wires and all of that old system, and I was free now, wireless. And so I made a little Facebook thing saying, quoting Zorba the Greek, you need a little madness or else you'll never cut the rope. So I cut the rope and be free, he said. You never cut the rope and be free. So I cut the rope and I'm free. And it was right about that time when it fell off again. And I think, I was hanging by my own rope, So today I bit the bullet and I went, called up CenturyLink and said, would you take me back? And they said yes. And oh, by the way, they said, we can give you a $25 reduction in your costs, so I saved it $25 a month. And I went back to AT&T and got my refund, and it was all set. So, and here I am this evening, and the CenturyLink is connected live. And I begin to, this is what makes me laugh. These little I call them drama roller coasters. There's a wobble in your life. You got, that something's not right, that could be better, which was the wobble in my service, that could be better. So that launched at a leap at the savior. AT&T was offering a fix for my wobble, so I leaped at it. And immediately, you'll notice when you do this roller coaster has a series of wobbles in it. So you end up with problems that you didn't expect to have. It's never smooth sailing. There's new problems. So now I had a new problem with the AT&T, you see. And it's like this, so then you finally go through the whole thing, and the roller coaster brings you back to where you were before, and it dumps you out, and you dust yourself off, and you were back where you were before, and you say, what the hell was that? What was all that about, And so I've been looking. I look at this stuff in reference to my own life because there's great wisdom in these things. If first of all, if you have a sense of humor. If you don't have a sense of humor, it's a serious roller coaster ride and you get really sick, But if you have a sense of humor, you can avoid the nausea and you can learn from it after the ride is over. You see. And so I look back on this today, driving home, and I think basically there was an assumption that, and this is part of my pattern, my life roller coaster, because I do this all over again. Instead of really looking at what the wobble is and fixing what I've got, I will immediately go to a savior, something new, a new system, a better system. Something greener on the other side of the fence. And I'll bite that, you see, and buy into it, only discover that it's the same grass. I got just different problems now, And now you're committed to it. So now you got to go through this labyrinth of new problems to end up back where you were. And you always kind of end up back in a place of balance. You may stay with the new system or you may go back to the old one. But it's always a roller coaster ride, and you come back at the end, and you wonder what happened. What was all that about, And I'm looking at this, for me, basically it was the assumption that CenturyLink needed to be changed and that there was a better world, you see. So I went for it, and the better world had the same problems that the other world had. So there's no world without problems. That's the first thing, but we assume there is. We assume that we can make a better world, free of problems, the promised land, where everything is, no wobbles, everything's in balance, and we soon discover that it's just the same roller coaster, So this is where a sense of humor and a sense of detachment from the pain of the roller coaster, and realizing that once you're on it, you have to go all the way around. But at the same time, there's great wisdom to be learned if there is a Buddha smile behind your face. You know what I mean? The Buddhas have little. Yeah, here's one here. See, little Buddha smile. Well, that's kind of like the face of your being. You know, the face of your inner being has that little Buddha smile. So your outward being, your outward face can be going on the roller coaster ride and, oh crap, and damn this, and I got screwed here and all that. But behind it, you're able to rest in your little Buddha smile, kind of like the Mona Lisa smile, or you know, that kind of, it's an inner smile that is not disturbed by the roller coaster ride of the outer face, you see. And that takes a practice to develop it. You just don't snap that and get it. It takes a interior practice. It takes I hate to call it a spiritual practice, but it takes an intention to find your Buddha smile. It takes a desire, an intention to find that Buddha smile within, because you know it's there, but it's not in the future. It's always here behind the roller coaster rides. So it's through the roller coaster rides that we can find our Buddha smile. And then if there's a roller coaster ride or not, it's still, you're okay. You see? So let that be our martini for today. And I'll see you in the morning at our moment of Zen. And we'll pick up where we left off this morning, if my internet connection is strong enough.